So, I just finished Trails for Daybreak II the other day. Then I also finished Final Fantasy VIII the other month, I suppose now. And then I also finished Chrono Cross Radical Dreamers Edition around almost 4 years ago at this point. Yeah, it's been a while, and I feel like someone has to speak up for all of these games a little bit. I mean, if Chrono Cross and Final Fantasy VIII sit kind of in the same boat, though some may disagree with me here. Trails for Daybreak II is a bit more niche, and even its community, well, the Trails community doesn't quite like it. It's not really hard to see why, but I have come here to speak in its defense, actually. Just because I have nothing better to do with my life. And just because I wanna fool around in Photoshop while speaking my shit opinions as usual, broadcasting it to the world. So let me put my RPG Maker representation for all of you to see. I will be using the Pain State Realm from my upcoming game. Not coming, well, we are all alive, that's for sure. Not in this lifetime, maybe in the next one. And I will be using this realm as a sort of medium to convey my journey through all three titles. Of course, my memory is probably not really reliable in regards to specifically Chrono Cross, but I just feel like Chrono Cross, Final Fantasy VIII, and Trails for Daybreak II, all three of them, excel at similar things, I'd say. Things people don't seem to peak on necessarily, Look, I don't want to judge people. I have absolutely no enemies. But... there's always this but. The issues are that all of the games I've brought up so far are a bit of black sheep in their respective franchises, series, etc. etc. Like Chrono Cross is generally regarded to be a poor sequel to Chrono Trigger. Well, I think that's you are missing the point, guys. Okay, I'm not saying, I don't really regard the authorial intent as something inscrutable, you know. I scrutinize it all the time. But I think, even considering who was that again, Masato Kato, I believe, who wrote a lot of Chrono Trigger, though the idea was someone else, of course, and then the entirety of Chrono Cross, and now Masato Kato is working on Another Eden, I believe. Another Eden is a great game, even though it's a gacha, but whatever. Not here to talk about Another Eden. So, I gotta map out my journey a little bit now, I suppose, with some pictures. I think the best place to put Daybreak II here would be oh god, we got a volcano area here. Daybreak II fits color-wise, but I don't know. I suppose I should start with Daybreak II if I have... Well, it's the freshest impression I have anyway, so I guess it makes sense to start with Daybreak II. So we put it here. And then we put myself right here. So Daybreak II is a sequel to Trails for Daybreak. It's not too hard to figure out, of course, based solely on the title. I'm not gonna be spoiling the shit out of it. My video essays are non-conventional. I don't write scripts. Who fucking writes scripts nowadays? Come on, guys. It's so boring. I don't like this kind of format. Some may disagree, this is a video essay, of course, but that's why I define them as video yapsays. I yap here, so my world, my rules, I don't fucking care, come on. So we got Trails for Daybreak II. So I jumped in fresh with Trails for Daybreak experience. I really wanted to find out what was gonna happen next. and it was a bunch of time travel stuff. I used to be a sucker for time travel back in like middle school, no, even earlier in my primary school, I believe. I dreamt of inventing the time machine and stuff. Then I kind of grew out of it, you could say, but I never really grew out of it, or at least I don't really think it's even immature, so to speak. Like, I eventually looked back to the idea, having played Steins Gate and stuff. But this time my idea was Thought Accelerator. However, Trails for Daybreak brings back like time leaps, much similar to time leaps in Steins Gate again. And like the whole point of time leaps is that they happen. Well, that's the issue here a bit too. It's interesting that they happen only when early on. They happen only when a protagonist, typically Agnes, like the girl in the logo. Let me point her out. Fuck. Give me no layer selected. I'll make another layer. Let's see. Let's put it over everything. Agnes. This is Agnes. This is Van. This is me. Never forget. So yeah, typically early on in the game, time leaps trigger whenever Agnes is stressed, like that someone dies typically. Usually it's Van or some other protagonist. So it was funny when it happened because it was obvious the game couldn't be over like 15 minutes into it, or well, half an hour in my case. But no, it was far from over, of course, so a time leap happens right away. The cast doesn't immediately recall. They've been through their demise before, but like, it comes to them eventually. It comes around, it goes around, comes around, so like, yeah. And I thought they would keep time leaps going on this way, but eventually no. They would just happen whenever someone keeps dying, and usually what caused these time leaps in the first place was something that had to do with tertiary, how's it pronounced, tertiary? Like secondary, tertiary, and so on. Well, not so relevant characters to the story, to the narrative. Like NPCs, say Ashen Lu. He's a Langport resident, I believe. She was just a girl from like the first game. No, second too, of course. Let me put Ashen on the screen real quick. Ashen Lu. So Ashen loses her shit at some point, and that causes death of the protagonist and the rest of the cast, and then they just leap to not have her lose her shit. And that kind of thing is what annoyed most of the community, I believe. But it was also one of the highest highs of the series as a whole, of the entirety of Trails. Character writing, basically. Characters grew, but the main story kind of never moved anywhere. But I believe it's kind of a setup in itself that is a setup for like Trails Beyond the Horizon. I know what Trails Beyond the Horizon is already out. I could play it any time, though I don't own it, so to speak. Not yet. But I believe that's just the direction Falcom, the devs, are trying to tackle here. Like, what I mean to say is that the story is primarily focused, the story of the Calvard arc of Trails, so Trails for Daybreak, Trails for Daybreak II, Trails Beyond the Horizon as well. So what I mean to say is that the story is focused around, oh my god, it's fan art, I can't use that. I don't want to credit anyone because I won't be able to track them probably. So the story is focused around these guys, Arcade Solutions, plus Nada and Swin from Trails through Reverie. But oh, and yeah, Trails for Daybreak, the first game, is also very personal to the protagonist. That is Van here. Well, of course, it develops Aaron, Fairy, Bergard a little bit, I'd say, Katra, but Katra mostly shines in the second game. Elaine, we don't speak about Elaine. She never shines, not yet. Well, she shines ipso facto, I'd say. Yeah. So, since the first game is so personal regarding Arcade solutions, Arcade because one Arcade, I really should stop introducing all these elements. I just assume whoever watched this knows what I'm talking about here. So just for Daybreak II circumvents that. It doesn't fucking care about Arcade solutions, not in the same way not in the same way its predecessor cared, anyway. So instead it cares more on secondary cast of the game. NPCs such as Jack and Holly, whatever you pronounce it as, a pair of gamblers. Ash and Lou again, the Langpur girl. Maxim Lugan, the racer. Maxim Lugan is actually the GOAT, I'd say. He was a womanizer, he's no longer because of Paulette of Montmartre, where the Arcade Solutions is based. And other miscellaneous characters. Did they pronounce it right? Miscellaneous, I suppose, yeah. Why do I give a fuck anyway? Let's move on. So the story has a secondary cast shine throughout it instead. The reason I think that's what happens is because the narrative, the framework, I'd say even, the framework of Calvard Arc, that is very public of Calvard. The Republic of Calvard is like, I'd say it's an umbrella representation of basically republics over the world, of democracy and stuff, so it faces its own fair share of hardships. And of course, the main cast prevails, but if you care so much about the main cast, why don't you care about what makes the framework a framework in the first place? Its setting, what makes it alive, so NPCs and all that. So Trails for Daybreak II suddenly cares about that. Thus, it only makes sense that NPCs shine through it, I'd say. Much to the disdain of the players. Usually. I am the exception. I'm so special. Look at me. I'm so high over the world. I'm floating. I'm soaring through the skies. And the way Trails for Daybreak II, I should just say Daybreak II onwards. The way Daybreak II skepticizes and criticizes the very foundation of Trails like that. Like, it's typically a linear narrative, fairly linear, set in a how would I put it? How should I put it? Set in a rather stable, area, I guess, which isn't really subject to much change, but it is subject to quite a lot in Daybreak 2, because you see tons of dead ends play out as you play through it. But of course, the protagonists can go back, and they do go back a lot, and fix things up a notch, I guess. However, to what cost, I guess? Like, the end of the game has another character, more important than most of the NPCs shown in the game. A character who died in the previous game, Dingo Bread, spoiling bad shit specifically. I said I wouldn't spoil the shit, right? I guess I would. I will onwards. Like, come on. I don't think many people will see this anyway. I'm just ranting here. So, who fucking cares again? So, Dingo Bread. Dingo Bread is a reporter introduced in all the vacant trails into Reverie, I think, actually. And he dies at the end of Daybreak, the first game. And then I have actually suspected all along that it would be him, like one of the antagonists, the Beast. The Crimson Grendel, the Grendel Zolga, is a serial murderer. Like, it's similar to the Grendel form of the protagonist, Van Arkwright. So the game starts out with Van facing those allegations from Central Intelligence Division that he's the one behind the murders, and that's basically the mystery through line of the game. So just based on the LS, fuck, let me look it up real quick. Alias, I guess.
Alias.
Yeah, alias. So just based on the alias Dingo picked for himself, C. I immediately suspected it would be him because he died in the Krail village in a nuclear explosion. That was basically it for me. And also how he never aggressed against Marielle, his fellow reporter, who has had a crush on him since before his death. All that. That was the biggest giveaway, probably. But yeah, generally his identity was obscured throughout the game. But yeah, it was him, after all. And I really like that it was him, because he's one of those secondary characters from the first game. So like, it was a setup for a setup, kind of. Well, assuming Daybreak II sets up a lot for Trails Beyond the Horizon. So, might wanna change the background music here. To what though? Let's go with this. So yeah, Dingo Bread. Crap, what did it do with my OBS? Should I care? Should I give a fuck? Probably shouldn't. So yeah, tertiary and secondary characters take the stage in Daybreak II. I've been dancing around this point for a while now, and I think that's to highlight that the framework can be unreliable, you know, like no matter how, well, just any, the average framework, any framework can be unreliable. Like one day it just starts working against you. You think you're the center of the world? Well, the framework disagrees with you, so try it against you, against everyone. And normally you wouldn't be able to go back, but here you got time leaps, thankfully, so they go back all the time. And you know what it reminds me about? It reminds me of Chrono Cross. Enter Chrono Cross logo from wikipedia.org. It reminds me of Chrono Cross. I'll put Chrono Cross in the C, I suppose, because it's a bit of an opposite case there. A bit, maybe. Though, there are some similarities, like Shala coming back, much like Dingo, I guess. Yeah, so Chrono Cross helps highlight the way you can't depend on the narrative setup all the way in Chrono Trigger. Like, narrative framework, whatever. Chrono and the team in Chrono Trigger then travel a lot, you know. I didn't travel all the time to avert the end of the world. Well, basically similar to what Arkwright Solutions do in Daybreak II. So I was playing Chrono Cross like years ago, of course, by now, but I remember all too clearly how it was criticized for what I was in awe of, mostly. Like, it was genuinely awesome to see Chronopolis as both Desolate Ruin, and learn about Time Crash from like Balthazar's notes there and all that. Like Time Crash, the epitome of over relying, you know, on time travel and shit. Like fool around for too long and like it'll get you back eventually. But no one really grasped that, I believe. Like Chrono Cross changes the cast to a bit more like diverse, I'd say. Like it's vast. Let's be honest. Chrono Cross has like over what, 50, 40 playable characters, but they all got personality, I'd say. They're pretty well written. Surge, the protagonist, is silent, much like Chrono, but he's also the center of the game in the sense that he's the arbiter of the frozen flame, if I recall, right? Which is what Chrono Trigger never had. It never had anyone attuned to Lavos in that way. Like the frozen flame is a piece of Lavos, but it's it's sentient in its own right, so it's kind of autonomous. And Surge is the arbiter between, like, I guess basically humans, that fate system, like that cool AI thing. Don't cancel me for this. And that means that literally explains basically what Link's meant back at, like, the roof of Viper Manor, when he said like, "Come, Serge, the Chrono Trigger," or something, if I recall. Like, yeah, that's the Chrono Trigger basically. He can trigger time in many senses of the word. So Chrono Cross undermines that relatively stable premise of Chrono Trigger. And instead of time leaps, like what Trails for Daybreak II has, Chrono Cross has another world where everything went wrong in other ways. Like Poor was just a Kingdom of Guardia controlled area in Chrono Trigger. Poor is now a heavily militarized empire, much like contemporary Russia, America, the list goes on. Yeah. And Poor just casually explores the world. Also, it's implied they overthrow Guardia. It's possible that... Yeah, it's possible Lynx was... held some kind of office in Poor when he burned Lucas Orphanage and stuff. And all that. So basically it's the big bad empire. Out of nowhere. Or out of Dalton, as implied by Chrono Trigger DS version. Yeah, so we got Poor colonizing the El Nido Triangle, the archipelago where Chrono Cross is set. But that only happens, I think, in home world. In another world, it's still fine. Only the triangle is still primarily controlled by General Viper's Dragoons. Oh, none of them are like lovey-dovey with the cast of Chrono Cross. We're all hostile, I guess. But Poor is like a big bad empire there. But it's still two different worlds, so they like function alike in many aspects, but they still differ. For example, well, for example, I'd say another world doesn't have Surge right off the bat. Like the person who can cross between those worlds just thanks to what again? The power of, what was it, kids something, I believe? Or not? The Chrono Cross story is a bit of a mess, but like, it's so enjoyable, come on. Wow, it sounded so cringe just now. Whatever. Onwards and upwards. In his childhood, Serge like nearly drowned or something, and his father had to travel to where desolate Chronopolis is. Or is it not desolate in Homeworld actually? I forget a bit about these distinctions. But basically he travels to where Chronopolis is. So like the Dead Sea or the Sea of Hidden. He travels to seek out a frozen flame, I believe. Or what? To save Serge, his son. So that was his father, Vazuki. Vazuki gets corrupted by fate, the AI system. And he becomes Lynx, its avatar. Fate also incidentally powers all the save points in Chrono Cross, if I remember correctly. So Serge kind of makes it back thanks to like Lena's father, Miguel, if memory serves. How do I remember this? Holy fuck. I'm proud of myself for a change. But yeah, it's usually... Not usually, it's always whenever Serge arrives at the same Pasa beach, where he nearly drowned as a child, that he can cross into another world. And the implications of this to me are similar to time leaps in Trails for Daybreak II. Like the near-death experience or something. Of course, you can't really tell with the sound protagonists, but like, I feel like that's in more ways than one a metaphor for like, not necessarily escapism, but a what-if scenario that's actually, holy fuck, I might be unpacking something big here. A what-if scenario given proper life, thanks to Serge's attunement to like the frozen flame, since it's a piece of Lavos whose pieces are also known as like dreamstones. No, it only stands to reason it would be like capable of creating something like that. I mean, that's the whole shtick of a frozen flame, if I remember, like, right? Like, not really granting wishes, but actually kinda yes, because the time crash led to that Xenopolis and stuff. Yeah, like, that's what I'm getting at here. Time crash happened because I actually need to consult the wiki, I believe. Like time crash, Chrono Cross. Like the very fact of time crash is just to highlight that time travel isn't like that neat thing to have, you know, not something you want to have necessarily. Chrono Trigger didn't really have it. There were no real repercussions for the cast until Chrono died, of course. That was a big setback for them. But like, Time Crash is much more global in scale. Like it shows that you can, you've gotta pay up at some point. Such power can be wielded by like one individual. Because like that would be overpowered. Yeah, the time crash grew out of a counter time experiment. What was that? Oh wow. Oh. It's because of... it's because you shouldn't alter time, of course. Yeah, the counter time experiment was like Balthazar wanted to make use of a frozen flame. And what Chronopolis had to offer to return to the past. Then the whole Ocean Palace stuff went down to save Shala from Lavos. Yeah, I think that's like a bit of a big wish to have, you know, Balthazar. So, where was that? Yeah, you shouldn't alter the past, basically. In Daybreak II, it's consistent, you know. It's not just a one-time crash that fucks everything up, it's the game itself that keeps fucking it up, because the NPCs from the previous game just keep piling up, keep growing as people, as characters, and emphasize that plot armor is just kind of, it's a thing, but it could still be used against you. You keep defending from the story, but you get no growth. Instead, the growth is what goes to what makes the narrative alive. So NPCs and stuff. So Daybreak II has that, excelling in it. And Chrono Cross has another world serving the same purpose, roughly the same purpose. Like, it's a whole other world out there, come on. And similarly to how Zingo, the dead guy from the previous game in Daybreak II, comes back to life as an antagonist, so Chrono Cross has a kid, a clone of Shala. She's not an antagonist per se, not at all even, I'd say. Well, per se, yeah. But she's a clone of Shala. And Shala is currently, well, during the events of the game, kind of merged with Lavos into Time Devourer. The Time Devourer was initially known as Dream Devourer, and you know what else was known as Devourer of Dreams? The Grendel Zolga's S-Craft in Daybreak II. S-Craft is just a very powerful attack. Yeah, Devourer of Dreams, Dream Devourer. Holy fuck, where have I seen that before? I wonder. Holy fuck. So, how does Final Fantasy VIII play into Chrono Cross, brought in Chrono Trigger's narrative of over-relied on time travel, and Daybreak II punishing its cast by having the scythe gang's progress in terms of character development? Well, it's simple, really. Final Fantasy VIII has a whole time compression thing, and the fact it's a loop. Well, it's implied to be a loop, because when Squall defeats Ultimecia, she just arrives at the orphanage, Edea's orphanage, to pass to Jan Edea her sorcerer's powers. There's also little Squall there, who briefly runs into his grown-up version arriving from the future. So, the way the whole time compression and sorcerer stuff is tied to Chrono Cross is another world, and Daybreak II's non-conventional development of its not so relevant, initially at least, characters. What ties it all together is... I need to think up of a really fancy way to put it together, you know? Like, I'm at the center of all of this. I guess it's the fact that it's all ultimately deeply personal. Like, what does it mean for time compression to happen in Final Fantasy VIII? It means that Rinoa and Squall will never be together, but it means that Cypher keeps dreaming. So what do dreams mean for Daybreak II cast? Not cast, but like for the entirety of Daybreak II framework. Dreams are what begets karma. Like, in the sense that you can... I should just use a direct quote here, I believe. If I have it anyway. I should have it, I believe, though. Let me dial it back a bit. Basically, okay, I'll just recite it from memory. Daybreak II has Dingo Bread as... Daybreak II has Dingo Bread present as... Fuck, I can't drop a picture. Now I can. Where is it? I have been fooled. Time to change the music anyway. I'm trying to choose the best one here. Well, let's say I wanna like at the end of my beloved and leave it to play here. There it is. So Daybreak II has Dinger Bread in his Grendel's Olga form. Lord dropped a party about karma being the greatest sin of humanity, the original sin, you know. And he argues that feeding like a pure, well, not really pure, just a human mind, a fitting narrative where they can do whatever they think they can do to make things right. They will certainly justify their actions, no matter how malicious they might turn out to who they think are in the wrong. They'll still go through with it just because, like, that's their justice. And like that's why I say that dreams play into the whole karma being the original sin thing. And it's similar to time compression here. Ultimacia is implied to want to be wanting to go to like the past for no specific reason. Clearly, I guess it's up to interpretation. But it's actually in opposition to the fact that Sid, like the mercenary organization, Squall, and others are part of. Well, except like Irvin and Rinoa, of course. It's in opposition to them because they don't have a past per se. They have that childhood of theirs spent in a Deus orphanage, but they don't really remember it because they rely on gods and force in battle. And since it helps them fight, like since they're effectively child soldiers, well, more like teen soldiers, by the time the game starts, they better not remember anything traumatizing, say. So yeah, they don't have a past in that sense. Though their friendship kind of just forms throughout the game, and they decide to keep diaries and not to forget that. But still, the fact the idea is, you may think it's like fucked up a little bit, right? That they're just child soldiers, they have no precious memories from their childhood and stuff. But I think it's healthy in a way, in a very specific way, because they don't have any past to cling to, like a bunch of Daybreak II characters have, like a bunch of Chrono Cross characters have, namely like Serge dying in like that incident, however many years ago. Lynx, for that matter. Oh, Lynx, not really. He's just a Fate avatar. But like Fate just runs amok all the time. I think he just wants what? He's megalomaniac, I believe. I think there was a motivation properly laid out for Fate in Chrono Cross. Let's not get too deep into it. I don't really remember Chrono Cross. I still want to speak about it because I feel it's important that Chrono Cross like acts against the grand narrative laid out by Chrono Trigger. It's just two whole narratives instead, like another world, home world. Even though it's based on the fact, well, to me, it's based on the fact Serge is just afraid of dying, I'd say. Or more like he doesn't even conceive of dying whatsoever. Because because would the frozen flame conceive of dying? Come on. I'm not implying he's like a lava spawn per se, but like, come on. I'd say Chrono Cross just has Serge embrace that. Fuck. I gotta choose whether I want to pronounce him as Serge or Serge. I'm not a native speaker, but I don't fucking care. Whatever, I'll have him be Serge. Yeah, so the cast of Final Fantasy VIII doesn't have that attachment to the past that secondary characters of Daybreak II, and the cast for that matter too, the main cast, have, and Chrono Cross, big shots like Balthazar, or the protagonists have or seem to have. So time compression is that big bad evil. Compressing time to so that it only would have one era, one epoch where only Ultimacia could exist. In Daybreak II though, it's decentralized, I'd say. It's not just one age where Ultimacia can reign, it's a bunch of possible scenarios that play out throughout the game. It's... Well, you see this volcano here on the map. It's the epitome of like everyone having their flaws, I guess, and their dreams. So all that lava around is just basically people. So people dream, people have their own opinions, people are allowed to have their own opinions, but it can escalate anytime. So the Daybreak II emphasizes many a time how it can escalate precisely, and how not to go around things like take Maxim Lugan, who thought his love interest was being abused, which was never really the case, but he was made to think that. Or take Ashenlu, who thought Van Arkwright, the protagonist, killed her lover. Well, not lover, her love interest too, Cao. And all that stuff, like thinking something is true, doesn't mean you have to act on it, you know. But they still act, like they believe it so firmly, they just up and act on it. They also don't notice they have become like stronger and stuff. They just blindly act on instinct. And that instinct is like what makes Karma the original sin according to Daybreak II, according to what Zingo Brad argues. And the fact it can manifest from so many people, like there's a whole coup d'etat going on in like Act 3, is what makes it less isolated, but also more local. Like time compression is a cataclysm, I guess, a potential cataclysm that would wipe out everything as we know it. But this here, well, I guess it would be actually more isolated in that case. But that just means it can happen anywhere, because just the capital of the Calvert Republic is taken over during the coup d'etat. So, like, if you brainwash many people to do your bidding, they will probably do your bidding. And, like, that's terrifying, is it not? And of course, it is, because there's literally Lynx's case from Chrono Cross. He's brainwashed. Well, I wouldn't say he's necessarily brainwashed, but it's a fact that he stays behind in Chronopolis and becomes Lynx. He does that to avert the tragedy of Serge drowning in the sea, you know. So it all comes down to wanting to change things that cannot and shouldn't maybe be changed at all. If in Daybreak II it's more liberal in the sense that there is nothing to be changed, the narratives, the NPCs are fed to act on impulse and wreak havoc, are fake through and through. There is truth to the fact Serge nearly died. Maybe he's even supposed to be dead. There is a lot of truth to the fact Shala can't really be separated from Lavos anymore. Well, she is, because happy ending and stuff. Or is she? Well, okay, no. She is. Well, like, the cost is immense. They get 2 worlds instead of 1. Oh, I think... Maybe I'm forgetting the ending? Did they, like, unite or anything? I don't think they did. I don't remember. It's about, like, not messing around with the flow of time. Like, not dwelling on something that the cost is too great to sacrifice yourself for. For by wanting to save Shala, Balthazar fucked up the entirety of space-time continuum. He it's probably his fault Dalton somehow ended up from the temporal vortex he'd been sent to in Chrono Trigger ZS version in poor. Like, come on, Dalton never really had that. Well, he's supposed to be an enlightened one, so he would have magic. He could probably enter the gate if that was a prerequisite. I don't think it was. But I don't think he ever ended up at the end of time. Still, Time Crash begets Dinopolis in Chrono Cross. They're like the lizard folk, what were they called? From Chrono Trigger. Well, they were led by Azala back in the day. They come to power instead, because of what? I better consult with, I think. Like Dinopolis. Yeah, because they got a whole timeline where Lavos never arrived, you know. So they became the dominant species of the planet. And became Trigonians too. No, reptiles, they were called, not lizards, yeah. That was the result of the time crash, of course. It was just a random timeline. Like, it wasn't even necessarily related to another world or home world. But it's still a result of the time crash. So Dinopolis just kind of shows up eventually in Chrono Cross, because the dragons keeping they'll need the triangle safe are defeated and form into the dragon god, who basically summons Dinopolis, I suppose. And that's all. It all comes down to Balthazar having wanted to save Shala, possibly tied to Magus having wanted to save Shala. And Magus even lost his memory at the end of Chrono Trigger DS version, if I remember it right? So there's a lot of price to pay for events that you want to alter, but maybe you just can't alter. Ultimacia, of course, goes to mania length in Final Fantasy VIII. She goes to such lengths as hijacking Edea into a sorceress, then having Cypher. Well, she gives Cypher something to dream about. That's an interesting aspect. Yeah, she basically provides with dreams someone who actually had dreams, despite the usage of Gaussian force. Cypher was, I think, I don't remember where I got this data from. I think it was something from the creator's interview, maybe, but or from the Ultimania. Yeah, maybe from Ultimania. That Cypher was watching a bunch of movies in his childhood, featuring Squall's Dead, Laguna Luar, hence his battle stance, with a gunblade and stuff. And so Cypher had a dream, and he kind of fulfilled it. He became a fierce fighter with a gunblade too. Well, Laguna was just starring in the movie, you know. Yeah. But that's something for Ultimacia to act upon. So she makes use of that. Too much effort, no? Go time traveling like that, and taking over a whole Edea, then brainwashing Cypher by dreams, by giving him something to dream of, making him your knight via Edea, through Edea, and so on. Oh, it's also the fact. Maybe it's also the fact that Edea was the wife of Sid Kramer. Edea and Sid Kramer were the founders of the whole SEED organization. SEED, but SEED is CID, and SEED is SEED, so SEED, yeah. It was a bit of symbolism there, come to mama or something. Of course Cypher couldn't possibly remember that, I don't think. But it's the motive of returning to where it's safe, I guess. Kind of there. But since Ultimacia is not a Dea, and the Dea is largely like a puppet of hers throughout the story, yeah, that's why she gives Cypher specifically something to dream of. So it's not a real reunion with his Matron, Edea, it's just a dream. I think it's a valid reason. And then, of course, Ultimacia sets Cypher up to track down Elone, because based on Elone, Professor Odin made like, what was it called? Something Elone? Like, it was a device, like Elone FFVIII. Let me look it up real quick. Junction machine alone, right? That's what lets Ultimacia control there. And Rinoa later on. So yeah. Oh, I should have something from Final Fantasy VIII play here, I believe. What's a premonition? Premonition, yeah. So, and how long have I been rambling on about? We've been here for nearly an hour. I think I'm communicating what I have wanted to communicate, so it's fine, I guess. So yeah, Ultimacia sets up Cypher to... sets up Edea, first of all, to be her puppet. Then sets up Cypher to be her knight. Yeah, to be her knight. And it all comes down to yet another sorceress. Why did Laguna never kill Sorceress Adel? Probably because she was too overpowered, really. And yeah, it comes down to Cypher attacking the Balam Garden. His initial, let's say, workplace, I guess. Yeah, whatever. Or even facility. Yeah, whatever. So she has Cypher part with what was once dear to him. Well, not with his posse. His posse follows him around all the time, like Fujin and Rajin. And then there's also the Magic Pandora stuff, which is tied directly, I feel, to all the Laguna flashbacks in the game. So it's like the past hunting down Squall and others, because Ultimacia thinks if she wants to go to the past, surely the past is something to use against the cast. At least that's the impression I'm getting. Like, if I have the past I long to return to, then I'll be making use of it to dictate my rules to someone who probably has something dear to them in the past too. Like Laguna and his friends traveling to Lunatic Pandora and then escaping it. Then traveling to a star to save Rinoa. Wait, not Rinoa. To save Alone. And lastly, there's Julia. She never really figures. She never really Well, I wouldn't say she never really matters. But Rinoa is in love with Squall, right? And Squall eventually falls in love with Rinoa to write about when she is overtaken by Ultimecia's sorcerer's powers. After the battle with Edea, the decisive one. So I'm probably not being coherent enough, but it's pretty important there. Laguna was originally going to get together with Julia, Rinoa's mother, but Julia eventually just, well, Laguna was doing whatever the fuck he was doing, like slacking off in Windhill with Elone's mother. And Squall's mother in the future too. Did I forget her name? Fuck. What is with me today? Rain, right. Rain Loire. So instead, Laguna eventually gets with Rain Loire, not with Julia, but Julia is Rinoa's mother. So there's no direct correlation between two events, like Laguna having briefly been in love with Julia, and Squall falling in love with Julia's daughter. But the fact it happens right when like, okay, it's probably more of a slow burn romance and stuff, and Squall's just coming to his maturity and all that, no longer being edgy, coming to appreciate what he has and stuff. But hear me out. I think that's similar to how she gave Cypher something to dream of. Not saying she could, well, no, actually I think it's valid to theorize that Ultimecia wanted to make use of Squall too. Maybe, just in case. But Squall is smart enough to make it his own dream. Like, he doesn't give up Rinoa to Star authorities to sue her like Adel. Not because he's like given dreams by Ultimecia, but because he himself really truly dreams of being with Rinoa ultimately. Like, regardless of whether it was planted in him or it really just came to him, like as a result of his sudden maturity or something. He reclaims it as his dream. So Cypher never does that, I think. No, but Cypher doesn't really pose a threat anymore after the Mask of Pandora stuff. But yeah, the idea is that Ultimecia also makes use of Griever based on Squall's ring, and he thinks like... I think the reason Griever manifests into the strongest Guardian force ever imaginable is because Rinoa wants the same ring as Squall. As what Squall has, Griever. She asks Zell to make her one. I think it's the strength Squall imbues his dream about being with Rinoa, truly. Not just because she's a sorceress, but because she's Rinoa, not tied to just like wanting something to dream of. Shout out to Cypher. But like, just because it really is his own dream. The link between him and Rinoa, between Squall and Rinoa sharing the dream of being together, is the Griever ring. The Griever ring that Squall wears on his, what, I guess, finger? Yeah, whatever. So Ultimecia makes use of that ring in the final battle instead. As a callback to the fact that she tried to hijack Rinoa, with some success, I guess, since she could send her to space and all. So yeah, there's this idea of keeping that dream intact and all to yourself, not letting it be misused. Like, Dreamer stems from Squall's Ring, okay. It's used by Ultimacia, but Squall defeats it all the same. So it's about like overcoming the image of the dream in favor of the dream itself, not just its image. Do you get it? I hope you do. And like the idea, a similar idea is present in Daybreak II and Chrono Cross. In Chrono Cross is defeating Time Devourer. It's not about just wanting Shala to be back anymore. It's just it's more so about like not clinging to the past, but to the present instead, like to what we have now. Time Devourer is like, I don't feel like he's an immediate threat, but I guess he kind of becomes one throughout the game. Like more and more imminent. Soon he would devour everything, since well, Time Devourer. Yeah. But like, and the Dream Devourer with the Grendel Zolga, Zingo Brad is in Daybreak II. Ultimacia's time compression. So, Time Devourer devouring time, Ultimacia compressing time, the Grendel Zolga compressing not time, but karma, dreams, all that stuff. Unreliable frameworks, basically, is what ties all these games. Thanks for watching. Okay, no, I'm not yet done. I think it's just important that these games do what they do. I'm probably not being coherent here at all. I'm actually having second thoughts about making this video public anymore. But since my channel is so fucking small, I will make it public all the same. Probably gonna get some fair share of rebukes from various nerds if they come across like my vid, but I don't really care, come on. I just wanna like get back into my video essay stuff. So like, I'm just trying to like put into a proper sentence the through line of all three games, you know? Like how we all are playing around with the same thing beyond the usual like logic, I'd say. I keep bringing up dreams, past, karma and stuff, like time, dreams, all that. They all like Final Fantasy VIII has that time loop in place, ensuring Ultimacia's defeat. So it's like prolonging their coping mechanism, I'd say, ensuring they never really ensuring they constantly learn to stay in the present, I guess. So like stay in the present and not going to the past, because like Ultimacia will just get repeatedly defeated, I guess. That's actually the only sad character, probably. Like the saddest character in the whole game, Ultimacia. Because she'll just keep manipulating Adea again and again, I suppose, and get defeated again and again, and onwards and onwards. But that's what happens if you get stuck in the past. And like that keeps happening in Daybreak II, because NPCs are given something that troubles them, and a false narrative to go along, to follow on. And in Chrono Cross there is that Shala's connection to Lavos. But it's no longer just Shala's connection to Lavos, it's no longer just wanting to alter something so it never happened. It's about defeating Time Devourer as is, so like, not just making so it never happened. It's unmaking what has already happened. That's what like the crux of the issues. And the same crux of the issues in Daybreak II, like finally confronting what hasn't been confronted at all prior, Dingo's death. Like, not really Dingo's death, but like on a larger scale, Dingo's death is like the epitome of regret of someone who could absolutely do nothing when he died. Like, and it kickstarts the further corrosion. The corrosion is what makes NPCs like go insane and wreak havoc. No, I mean act on their own justice and stuff. Though it still nicely ties back into Daybreak thanks to post-game boss in Meyerhengarten. So into Meyerhengarten, it's a German phrase. Like a garden of dreams, I guess. Well, basically every garden in Trails into Reverie. Yes, so the post-game boss in the Meyerhengarten ties back to the protagonist all the same, but the idea that it's used for anyone but the protagonist throughout the game is just like a chef's kiss for me. Come on, that's genius. I love how this game made use of NPCs, because NPCs, if they are written well, and they are what makes a narrative seem alive. So it's important they gave him some growth. So yes, it's good. And Dingo's death tie into that is like the epitome of all that. That's what makes him the host of the Grendel Zolga, and the Grendel Zolga is the beast of overseeing the karma of all people involved, I guess, or of humanity in general. Like it's based on a device from the series, on a Genesis, on the Crimson Genesis specifically. So it manifests for Grendel Zolga to like just to have people repent, I suppose, and occasionally to time leap. Yeah, sometimes that. There's also Auguste Aldan, Calvardian philosopher in Trails for Daybreak II, who's like, who's also not over his past. Of course it goes back to that, and that's why he wants to rewrite the whole arc of Calvard. Like, no, the whole series, I'd say, just because he would alter the whole world history of theirs. So like, yeah. So all these games go down to like resolving with the issue they have all begotten by not just letting it be, like not just coping with the things as they are, not letting ultimacy compress time, for that matter, not letting Auguste Aldan rewrite history with the help of Dingo, not letting Times of War stay, like, because that'd just be still sticking to the past, but like, well, not being obsessed with it anymore. So you like, you stop letting it bother you, but you don't really change, you don't make it so it's more than just something you chose to ignore onwards. It's about growth. So you grow and deal with the Times of War as a threat in the present. So you grow and deal with time compression as a threat to your present, to your dreams, and to all that. So you grow and defeat what thinks it can dictate its rules, decrease, I guess, over you, just because it observes your flaws via fake narratives it weaves on its own to feed to your friends and stuff. And that's where the key lies, I feel. Like, the key as in the idea of a narrative based on everything. FF8 resolves it with a time loop, so it just makes this particular time frame repeat constantly. So like there's no. It doesn't mean everyone has to do the same thing again. It just ensures Ultimecia gets defeated all the time, I suppose. For Ultimecia. And like she wouldn't change, so like that's what happens if you don't change. Chrono Cross. Chrono Cross's narrative is actually flawed. Well, more like Chrono Trigger's narrative is flawed, and Chrono Cross's narrative is about how Chrono Trigger's narrative is flawed, yes. Like, over-reliant on time travel just to alter something so it never happens. And in Daybreak II, it's about... basically, yeah, the same thing, relying on time leaps, but also relying on, like... things around you all alone. Like without relying on something else, not just the false narrative before you. Like Ashen was told that Van and Aaron slew her Sao. Well, not her, but yeah, she left Sao. Maybe still loves. Who kinda still loves Sao, yeah. Ashen believed in that lie, and acting on it. I'd say it's because she's sheltering everything alone. At that point, after that she grows, no doubt. Balthazar trying to get Shala back to separate her from Lavos, trying to get as far into past as the Ocean Palace incident. Ultimecia just wanting to go to somewhere she can rule alone, solely, just her grace there. So what all of these games imply is that you need something else, I feel. In Chrono Cross you need more than just what Chrono Trigger laid out. You need something Chrono Cross lays out too, and I don't like how fans, well, some fans at least, think nothing of it. Like, it's just a bad sequel, la 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 la. No, come on. It's just not about that. Chrono Cross also sets up tons of things. Like, it has to offer a bunch of NPCs with colorful backstories and all. And that's the narrative to defend there. But it's a different one that makes two narratives. It's not just one. There's no monopoly anymore. You need more. That's what's great. You gotta decentralize it. In Final Fantasy VIII, you get the cast growing, and they already lack pasts, and yet there are dreams to fulfill that. Like in Cypher's case, for example. In Squall's case, there's Griever, and he's actually past throughout the game, so not really past, still part of the present. And how we gotta cling to something else now, like to something beyond just their usual seed lifestyle, to something to carve out on their own, not yet existent. So it's still part of the story, but it's implied to be like it's about growing up. It's like a Bildungsroman, I'd say. So they gotta grow up and carve out their own path in life. And Daybreak II is similar, the same, kind of, somewhat. Yeah. About like not doing everything alone, of course, as Daybreak, the first game set up for Van, not to shoulder everything on his own. He learned his lesson, by the way. So is Daybreak II, passing on the same message but for everyone. And then Yes even says, like, the girl here. And Yes even says, like, well, the usual moral stuff, like making mistakes is what makes us human and all that. So it's about engaging with some of the ideas beyond the ones you already have in store. Engaging with the ideas beyond just what typical Trails has to offer. Like time leaps, they say time travel just sucks as a trope and stuff. Well, some say that. But it's engaging with that, even just to alter things that wouldn't have happened at all, which is different from altering past that has already happened. So engaging with time leaps helps preserve the already existing narrative, which if you relied on too much would just break under overpressure. I'd say. In Final Fantasy VIII, it's about relying on something other than Guardian forces for a change, like each other, love first of all, of course, on love, like Squall and Rinoa. I guess there's implication between Irvin and Selphie too. And in Laguna's case, it's about relying on someone else, I guess, as usual, typical Laguna, okay. But it's about Laguna actually grows too, I'd say. He's not just a mere adventurer fooling around anymore, he's a whole president of the star. Holy shit. Kinda saw it coming too. Well, like, he also isn't phased by Squall's, like, Squall's reclaiming of Rinoa, I guess. Like, she's supposed to be sealed like a sorceress, but she's not ultimately. And Laguna chooses to cooperate with them just because it's a bigger priority. So like, yeah. So it's about that. And Chrono Cross, it's relying on the world around you now, like what El Nido Archipelago has to offer, not just what Chrono Trigger had to offer. And to highlight that, I think that's why you see Chrono, Marl and Luca all like small, more like children. When you get to like that square, Millennium Square, I believe it was called, or Millennium Fair, something like that, in Desolate Chronopolis. It's to highlight how small the initial Chrono Trigger narrative is in relation to what you have now. Like, you didn't gotta cling to that. You didn't have to cling to that. You just gotta move on. It's fine to move on. It's fine that Chrono Cross is different. And like, it's still connected. They still work with the same issue. They still work with like Shala and Lavos. Even though Lavos is defeated, Shala and Lavos are still there in the Darkness Beyond Time, I believe it was called. But it's Darkness Beyond... If you hyperfixate on the Darkness Beyond Time, the darkness won't be beyond time anymore. It will be right behind you. But if you pay attention to what's around you, if you care about what's around you, you can face it. So the same is true here, the same is true here. Yeah. This was awkward, I guess. But it's not bad, I've missed this format. Besides, you probably enjoyed my RPG Maker shitty sprite here, right? And my poor Photoshop skills. I don't know, I just wanted to like have something. I think I should mix in some more footage into like the video when I get to editing it. I have like something. Yeah, I'll probably insert some cutscenes from Daybreak II, clarifying all the karma stuff. And I only really have Daybreak II footage anyway, on hand anyway, like right now. So yeah, these games are all important to me as they deal with criticizing having a grand narrative to rely on, having a single framework to rely on. We all teach that lesson to engage with something beyond that, to engage with something you may not originally consider part of your world, as means to develop that world of yours further. as means not to let it drop. So, come on, how can you hate that? How can you hate any of these games after that? How can you hate Chrono Cross for telling you not to, like... I don't wanna come across offensive, but... okay. How can you not like Chrono Cross for telling you... not to get too hung up on this, what seemed like unresolved, like something unresolved in Chrono Trigger. Come on! Chrono Cross is literally a love letter to Radical Dreamers. Radical Dreamers has all the shallow stuff resolved. Go read it! I never finished it myself, but I know it has been resolved, so it's a bit of fun in this way. And how can someone... well, not anymore I suppose, but I've heard it was a sentiment way back. How can someone think Final Fantasy is too much of a mess and poorly written? I've seen people say that, really. And then it's about themes so timeless, like getting hung up on the past, but resolving that with love in the present. Even if that love still, of course, treats the past with respect, I guess. In the sense that, well, we know I used to be Cypher's girlfriend, seemingly. That kinda never goes anywhere, of course, but like, it's still there. But there is no like, what's it called? No but blood between them, I guess, I think. Or poor blood, or throaty blood. There's no melty blood between Cypher and Vanilla. Yeah. So love wins, the present wins, everyone wins, I guess, or something. Don't know, in Daybreak II it's just, yeah, facing up to the idea there shouldn't be a single authority demanding that you be completely righteous, even if you are fed a false narrative. Even if your righteousness is corroded, you gotta keep that righteousness uncorroded somehow. Yeah, that was kind of the argument Grendel's Olga had, I guess. The big fatal event to change everything, even after August Aldan was defeated, the guy who wanted to rewrite history. Dingo still wanted to release all timelines made by the cast time leaping. He wanted to release all the timelines as one or something. It was just, well, shit show, I guess. Shit show, shitstorm, chaos. In a way, that would actually be better too. It would decentralize things quite a bit, but I don't think it would be the end of the world per se. But at the point everyone there is at, I think it's best if they just keep things as they are. Like they've learned their lesson, so they can proceed further with nothing clouding over their minds anymore. So yeah, no single framework is perfect, but little things making it up may just build something worth turning to in times of need when the framework in question is bursting at the seams. I guess that's about everything I could tell here. It's been a fine 1 hour and nearly a half. I was probably repeating myself a lot. I was trying to like put myself into the best kind of words there are. I could read aloud some things I have written to my friend about it. Like, to sum it up, to sum it up. Can't find it, I don't think. Yeah, so about Daybreak II. I mean, the game is doing a pretty big thing already, but not many are willing to catch on. This whole game is what it means for the Calvard arc to be an arc or something. What I mean is the whole rewriting thing, like if August succeeded, it wouldn't be the same Calvard, so the whole arc would be different. Narratively, it decentralizes from Ben the protagonist and even most of the main cast into everyone who represents the vastness of Calvard. I.e. various NPCs of secondary and tertiary importance, so it may seem like terrible filler, but honestly it's anything but. This is what makes it feel like, well, a proper world. So what Daybreak II does by fleshing them out is important as they ipso facto challenge the whole premise. Accurate solutions? The cast. Fuck you, I'm that one ancient philosopher contracting you. Zipper Van lore? Fuck you, have some Hal stuff for surface. Hal is that girl from the Pair of Gamblers that I mentioned way earlier in the week. So yeah, like a slap across the usual premise of a typical trail story is fleshing out a bunch of NPCs at once. I think it was done brilliantly. Chrono Cross has that too. It develops it does develop all of its playable characters, so it creates that sense of detachment from Chrono Trigger's smaller cast, you know. And from Chrono Trigger in general, because it immerses you in Chrono Cross specifically, despite still working with Chrono Trigger. Like that's why Serge is called Chrono Trigger, links and stuff. So yeah. You could say you play as Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross. Well, that's an interesting perspective, but I guess I shouldn't go into depth about it. Well, I mean, I could, briefly. Like, you're a Chrono Trigger, you have a tendency, so you just advocate for yourself to stay intact without Balthazar's shit. And with regard to your interest in staying the same, you just defeat the Time Devourer as that representation of what Chrono Cross is. Yeah, that kind of thing. Kinda vague still, but the shortest I can give ya. Ew, I love all of these games. I suppose I should title this shit something like, let's say, InXpective or something. That edgy enough or not? No, I wish I had my old Photoshop here. Then what color to pick here? Font Azure. My Azure is more like 2000 at least. Perhaps. Crap. Fuck off, I'll nip some. Shit. I gotta get used to this. InXpective, and I think I want to spice it up a little. Like maybe metallic. Wow, very spicy. Yeah, that's good job. Sharp, smooth. Who fucking cares? And I should probably lower myself a little bit. Man, using an RPG Maker map for this is sure something. Oh, there's also the space above here. I actually think I want to do something like this. I'm just chilling, you know. I'm kind of format. Fuck! Non-conventional video essays. Let's go for the win. InXpective. Here. This to be blurple or something. What was the blurple color code again? Like this maybe? Somewhat, but not quite. How do we name it? InXpective, so... Oct Phantasma. Oct... No, not Phantasma. It's already Oct. Oct. Daybreak II. Something to connect to a... Oh, you know. Morning glow. InXpective. 8 AM. 8 AM. Morning glow. InXpective. Yeah. That's a nice neck to it, I suppose. I'm a weirdo making these kind of things. I just want to speak from my heart as well. Gotta save it as something. 8 AM morning glow InXpective. Alright. Man, I should have used way more music in this video, shouldn't I? Damn. Well, regardless. I got my preview at the very least. I should have used more pictures still, but I just was way too immersed in my yapping. I hope someone likes this, you know. I really don't think anyone is going to like this, but I don't fucking care, I guess. Oh no, I do, but life's been terrible lately. That's all I shall say on the matter. Hope this video comes out at least. So, should this vid still come out on March 8th, in whoever watched its region. Happy Women's Day. It's late March 8th, but I don't think it will be March 8th for too long. Like, it's already March 9th for me here. 9th of March. So suppose that's a farewell. I should have a nice song play here. Maybe pick something. Something like it's pretty difficult to choose, I'll tell you. What do you know? Oh, I should also traditionally thank Amy for inspiring me to try out video essays in the first place. I don't know, Samus, who else am I talking to usually? Lanzador, my Careless Fortress chat on Telegram. Some people who hate me now, I think you all too, but I won't be naming names, I guess. I don't think Arthur I was too, 9 Souls C. I hope he's doing well. Arna Morno, oh, she's probably not watching this. And I'll probably see you next time in my Fate's Day Night with Tsukihime InXpective or something. Maybe. Maybe not. I'm not sure. I guess I'm not cut out for video essays, but I have had my fun today, I guess. Thus, very well.